everyone, and welcome to yet another conversation with author Rajesh Talwar. This is your host Ananya, and today we are going to talk about Rajesh Talwar's book Fabulous 4 Battle Zoozoo the Wizard, which is a children's fantasy book. Rajesh, just the title sounds so amazing. Could you tell us what this book is about and maybe a bit about the characters?
Thanks, Ananya. Lovely to be with you again to discuss another book. And this is, of course, as you mentioned, Fabulous 4 Battle Zuzu the Wizard. Yes, it's an arresting title, I've been told. And it's about these four children, all of whom have some special quality. Princess Samara, her parents, the king and queen of Nonamia, are kidnapped by evil wizard Zoozoo. And she has to meet three boys with special abilities. They will be found in the wetlands, in Snowland, and in the Hotlands. So the boy from the Hotlands, he can walk through the hottest winds imaginable without feeling anything. The boy from Snowlands, he can wear a t-shirt when it is minus 54 degrees outside and it doesn't feel cold. The boy from Wetlands, he can swim, putting a candle on his head, which is burning and the candle will not get extinguished. And Princess Samara has her own special abilities. She has a horse, who's the fastest horse in the world, Barado. So this is the characters. And of course, Zoozoo is a very wicked man, and he has a sister helping him called the Churail. So it's a fierce battle that has to be fought to rescue Princess's parents. And I think it's very exciting. What is interesting about this, there are two things which are interesting. One is that this is completely indigenous. So it's all about Eastern storytelling magic. You know, we grew up reading Enid Blyton's Secret Seven, Famous Five, which are Western stories. And when I was a kid, I used to wonder what are these scones which people are eating, because that time we didn't have scones in, cafeterias. Or what are these muffins? But why should we be wondering? Why not other people wonder what is a samosa, what is a pakoda? Even though these things have become global, but our culture is no less interesting than any culture in the world. It's probably one of the most fascinating cultures in the world. So I think the shift was very necessary. And this is something, one of the things that's very special about the story.
Okay, Rajesh. So, if I heard you correctly, you just told us that there are two special things about the book. So, you told us about the first part. Could you tell us what is the second thing which is exciting about this book?
Thanks, Ananya. That's a wonderful repeat question, follow-up question. What is special is that, in the Western narrative, for example, if you have Secret Seven or if you have Famous Five, they'll have a token girl thrown in. But otherwise, the characters are all white. Here, the four children are from different parts of, you could say, India. You can identify one as being very dark, that's the princess. Princess Samara is very dark, possibly from somewhere in the southern part of India. And then the boy from Iceland, he's as fair as any European. The boy from the wetlands, he has a slightly Chinese look about him. And the boy from Hotlands is brown-skinned, growing up in the desert. And now this represents India, but at the same time, it represents children all over the world. Because, for example, African children, they will love Princess Samara. European and American children, they will say, okay, well, the boy from Snowland, he looks so much like us. So on the one hand, it's about these four characters, but if you made a film on it would have a global audience potentially. Because India is in a way, as Tagore said many years ago, a microcosm of the world. So the people who live here, they look like races from different parts of the world. You can go to the southern part of India, and you'll find people who are blacker than any African. You can go to Kashmir and find people who are fairer than any European or as fair. And so you have this incredible variety. And I think we mentioned films. I think this could make a potentially great film because it would carry resonance among audiences across the world. Recently, there was a big animation film which was based on Chinese characters. It was not a big success. The idea was to focus on the Chinese market. But here you can actually focus on the world market.
All right, Rajesh. So, you just told us that this movie too has the potential of making a great film. So, can we expect a film in the near future on it? Because I'm pretty sure that everybody throughout the world is going to, find this book relatable just by the character itself.
Thanks, Ananya. It's so nice to hear these words of encouragement from you. Actually, once the book came out, then I thought, let me take some initiative myself. And the person I could think of who could represent both Indian cinema and world cinema, one of them was Gurinder Chadda. So, who's famous for Bend It Like Beckham and various other films. So I wrote to her, and she and her husband were both very interested. In fact, Gurinder wrote to me by email saying that she herself was planning to make a film on little superheroes. Uh, and she didn't want to read my book before writing her own script. Uh, Anyhow, I sent her the script and she said she would read it afterwards. I'm not sure whether she's going to take it forward. Possibly she may work on her own script. But the point is that she also saw that a film about little superheroes, which are not in the Western mold, but representing a different mold, could potentially have global appeal. So maybe Gurinder and I will not work on this together, but I'm sure there will be other filmmakers who might be interested. But films apart, uh, I think it's a great read. Of course, a film just adds to the readership, and most of us writers, we are hungry for readers. So let's see how it goes. I'd just like to mention that this also took me a long time to write. Normally, I take up several projects at the same time, and some of the books I finish very fast. So there are books which I finish in 3-4 months. But this was also long in the writing. Uh, I took a British editor for this because I wanted her to bring her British editing perspective to it. So, for example, initially I had put the word Lou to represent the hot wind that goes through uh, the Hotlands. And then she was very intelligently, she said, let's not choose this because a global audience will immediately think Lou, or you're going to the Lou. They don't understand India has this particular phenomena. So she corrected that. Then one of the characters I had named Nandu. And she said again, okay, this is not going to work. People are going to think about the Nandu restaurant. So I changed that to Nandu, which is a very Indian name. And there were other things like that. So, so some of my books I have used Indian editors, but in this book, I thought it would be better to use a British editor. And I think it was a wise decision. So let's see. The response has been very encouraging thus far. And let's see what shape it takes in the future. Thanks so much.
All right, Rajesh. So, once again, listening to the fact that a movie is going to come out of it, because I personally, even though I love reading books, I love the idea of watching a movie based on a book too, because you get the visuals, and if you've read the book, then you're going to relate to it more. So I'm pretty excited for that. And thank you so much, Rajesh, for being here with us and telling us about your book. It was a pleasure to talk to you about it.
Thanks, Ananya. And lovely to be with you as usual. And look forward to catching up again soon. Thanks so much.